YouTube? It's of course Surviving Prophecy, and today, let's talk about the New York Giants, shall we? Now, I've seen the game, and I'm not holding back. Daniel Jones is not it. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Daniel Jones was under the rest. He didn't have no offensive line. He didn't have no help. I get all that. But when you a quarterback, that's your job, is to carry the team, put the team on your back, right? The wide receivers are not going to do it. The running backs are not going to do it. The tight ends are not going to do it. That's your job. So if Lamar Jackson have no number one outside of Brown, who's not even there no more, Lamar Jackson have a crappy O-line. He has one good tight end in Andrews, and he has no running game. But he finds ways to win. Makes no sense, right? But you look at the Giants, they have Saquon Barkley, and they have a whole bunch of pedestrian wide receivers, practice squad receivers, Kadarius Toney, he's in and out. I don't think he takes football seriously, to be honest. Kenny Galladay, obviously that was Gettleman's wrongdoing. Um, Sterling Shepard can't seem to stay healthy. And you're relying on Seals, James, and we still haven't seen Slayton yet. So a lot of people are going to say, well, what do you want Daniel Jones to do? He was the running back in that game, even though Saquon Barkley rushed for a touchdown, but if you take that one big play away, he didn't really do too much. And that's what you're going to get from Saquon Barkley from game to game. He might break out one game and just be average the next, But that one drive, okay, it was back and forth. It's an NFC East division game. Games like that is going to be close, okay? The one thing I always hate about Daniel Jones is he does not go through his progression. Like, if you really saw that game in the last minute or so, he could have gone to James. He could have gone to Bellinger. He could have at least scrambled and pick up yards on with his legs, slid down, stop the clock, spike it, and then move on to the next play. But he didn't do that. And Diggs was staring him. Diggs was actually staring him the whole entire play. And I get it. I know he fell, but that's what you practice almost every day in practice. You practice these situations, these 2-minute drills, these 1-minute drills with no timeouts. You practice them all the time. Like Daniel Jones had a lot of time. He had 1 minute and 15 seconds. So you can't tell me that you can't drive down the field 90 yards and put your team on your back and win the game. Just saying, he's not it. This is exactly why he's 0-9 in primetime games. And if he's 0-9 in primetime games, what makes you think that he's going to be any good when he reaches the postseason? It's because we still haven't seen Daniel Jones in his first postseason yet. So, I mean, if he can't get this done, what makes you think he's gonna ball out in the playoffs like Eli Manning always did? That's the thing about Eli. When the game was on the line, he delivered. Now, obviously not all the time. I mean, there was games where he not disappeared, but he didn't play to his best. But as soon as he got older, he learned and he understood that, okay, I got to make something happen. You know what I'm saying? Like that Sunday night game against the 49ers, where he had to drive like what, 70 yards for that touchdown that he threw to what was the tight end's name? Uh, Larry Donnell, you right? And this is when he had Odell Beckham Jr. at the time. You know, the 49ers did what they had to do on offense. They drove down the field. They believe scored a touchdown. Eli Manning got the ball back with less time on the clock. Drove down the field for the game-winning touchdown to Larry Donnell. Seal the game. Okay? If you want to go back, 2015, Tony Romo had a minute and 19 seconds with no timeouts. He drove down the field against my Giants with a touchdown to Jason Witten, won the game. So he's capable of doing it. He did it against Tampa not too long ago, right? So a lot of people are just going to make excuses for him. He's not good. He was never good. This is Dave Gettleman's pick. You can see why they didn't pick up his fifth-year option. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why they didn't pick up his fifth-year option, but they signed Barkley to a long-term deal. The proof is in the pudding. They're moving on from Daniel Jones. They're not going to admit it. They're not going to say it. They're just going to evaluate him, see what he does this whole season, and they're going to go in their own. They're going to go in their own direction, because that's not Brian's pick. That's Dave Gettleman's pick. So, look, I'm not here to bash Daniel Jones. He's a good kid. I wish him nothing but the best, but he's not the fit for New York. He really isn't, you know. We need a type like Eli Manning. We need a type like a Joe Burrow. We need a you know what I'm saying? Like we need a Trevor Lawrence type. We need a like a Lamar Jackson type. You know what I'm saying? We need that type of quarterback that could do it in the air, that could do it on the ground. Now I'm not saying that Daniel Jones don't have any arm strength, but sometimes he doesn't show it. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, it was a back and forth game. It was a very good game. And you could see the difference between week 1 and week 2. We wasn't really facing nobody. I mean, Titans defense, they were all right, but they crashed in the fourth quarter. You know, after they sacked Daniel Jones 7 times, they disappeared. The Panthers, they tried to contain them as much as they could, but they broke down in the fourth quarter. But you see, when you face a very good defense, it shows who you really are, you know? And when I used to play high school, when I used to play football in high school, that's what the coach always preached, you know? Like, you're going to face bad defenses, you're going to face good defenses, but you got to know the difference between the two. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain defense you can't run on. There's certain defense you can't pass on. There's certain defense you can run on. There's certain defense you can pass on. So you just got to know the difference, okay? Like, if you look at that game, we only had one big play, and that was Saquon Barkley's 70 yards to the touchdown. After that, that was it. The Giants rely on big plays to win games, to be honest with you, whether it's on defense or on offense. But specifically, it's on offense. If the offense cannot get going, the defense is going to have to do so much. And they're going to be exhausted because the offense have to hold up to their end of the bargain. You know what I'm saying? Like, if the offenses just keep settling for threes, never getting into the end zone, you know what I'm saying? And it's going to put more pressure on the defense to come out there and try to take away the ball. You know what I'm saying? But if you go all the way back, this is really Jerry Reese's wrongdoing. You know, he never fixed the offensive line. He constantly gave not Odell, but he constantly gave Eli Manning weapons. You know what I'm saying? Um, Never fixed the O line. I believe 2015-16, Eli Manning was like the third most sacked quarterback behind Phillip Rivers and Andrew Luck. You know what I'm saying? He just never, Jerry Reese just never fixed the offensive line. He just never did, you know? And I kept telling everybody that, like, the offensive line is the hardest position to fix. You can fix a running back, you can fix a tight end, you can fix a, wide receiver. It just take time and chemistry, you know? Defense, it'll take care of itself, you know what I'm saying? But offensive line is the hardest position to fix. And you can see why. We're still struggling, you know? So, I mean, this was Jerry Reese's wrongdoing. So I'm not I'm not too down because I did pick the Cowboys to win that game. But just move on, learn from it, and like I don't know, just move on. I guess now we face the Bears. I do have us bouncing back against the Bears. I don't know how we're gonna do it because we don't have no wide receivers unless Kenny Galladay finally wakes up and tries to contribute to the team. I mean, hopefully we could get Kadarius Toney back. I don't know what's his issue, but because when that draft was there, no, when I saw the draft, Kadarius Toney was way down on the depth chart. Like he was not even top three. He was more top five. So he was all the way down in the bottom, and for some reason we picked him. Now, obviously, he had a lot of great talent. You know what I'm saying? He was more of a twitchy wide receiver. Like he can make people miss without, you know, even doing anything. You know what I'm saying? Like he just has that knack for, making people miss. Like Dave Gettleman didn't even think of drafting uh, one of the top three receivers. Whether it was Jefferson or Waddle. He was coming off a knee injury. No, I think it was Williams. He went to Detroit. Waddle, Devontae Smith, he didn't even wind up picking him. You know what I'm saying? So, but it is what it is. It's like this is what happens when you hire wrong people inside the organization. Now the GM and Brian is gonna have to fix it again. They're gonna draft the players that they need and they want. So far, to be honest with you, Evan Neal has been a disappointment, and Kayvon Thibodeau has been a disappointment. Cause, but again, it's still early in the season. But it's easy for an offensive player to get going rather than a defensive player to get going. You know what I'm saying? Like, look how many games he's missed. He still haven't gotten a sack. He had pressure. I saw little bits and clips of him, but it just wasn't there. I don't know if he's still not 100%. Maybe he's probably like 50%, not to himself. But when he was at Oregon, he was just flying around. You know what I'm saying? But now that he's in the NFL, he just disappears. You know what I'm saying? But I hope he gets his breath under him and he starts to learn how the NFL works and stuff. But he'll be a dominant player for us. It's just going to take time. You know what I'm saying? Jason Pierre-Paul didn't blossom into his, third year, fourth year, when he had that 16 and a half sack season. So it's going to take, some time for Kayvon Thibodeau to blossom, you know? Most players do it out the gate, but most players, it takes time. So Daniel Jones is not it. Like I said, I don't make excuses. If you can't get it done, you can't get it done. You know, um, because if you constantly make excuses for him, how is he like? So if he loses against the Bears, which I'm picking the Giants to in that game, if he loses against the Bears, let's say it's like 59 seconds left on the clock, Giants have no timeouts, and he throws an interception again. Or it wasn't his fault. The offensive line is like, you just can't blame him, right? Like Daniel Jones, like Giants fans see it as Daniel Jones can never do anything wrong, right? When Eli Manning was throwing those picks, it was the right receivers. They was not catching the ball, this and that. Like some of those were Eli Manning's wrongdoings, and some of them were the wide receivers not catching the ball. Whether it was the wide receivers, tight end, and running backs, they wasn't doing their job. And some of those interceptions was Eli Manning's fault. But I mean, he learned from it, right? He learned from it. He got better, and yeah, he still threw some picks, but I mean, that's what you have to do as a quarterback. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying to go out there and throw 45 interceptions, but you just have to have confidence. You know what I'm saying? And Daniel Jones do not have any confidence whatsoever. You know, like as soon as I saw Daniel Jones for the first time, I said, okay, this guy got wheels. He got some hands on him. You know what I'm saying? He got some touch on him. But that one game against the Eagles, his rookie year, he did not go through his progressions at all. Like he was staring one person down, one person down, one person down. I mean, there was times where he did go through his progression, but after that, he just bailed and went back to his old habits. Daniel Jones is not that quarterback, like in that position, in that situation, if you're number one, we're not really number one receiver, but if your number one target is not in that area, do not throw it. He threw it. He still threw it. Like David Sills fell down. Okay, I understand he fell down, but he still threw it. Like go through your progression. Like if Sills fell down, go to Bellinger. Go to Saquon. Make Saquon Barkley do a real route on the flat. Something. Pick up yards with your legs. You've been doing that mostly the whole entire game. You know, because when everybody went to go do their route, you could see the whole entire middle of the field was wide open. He could have just ran and pick up a few first downs, or ran and pick up the first down and spiked the ball and just go to the next play. But he, like when Seals fell down, he still threw it. Like why? Go through your progression, That's what you have to do as a quarterback. You can't just stare one person down and expect them to catch it. You know what I'm saying? But, it is what it is, man. I'm not making no more excuses. Daniel Jones is not it. I wish him nothing but the best, but he's just not it, He just shows it, Like in that situation, you cannot do it. You cannot, with the game is on the line too. Imagine if he did drive the Giants down the field to like the 10-yard line with like 7 seconds left, no timeouts, needed a field goal. Then I would come on here and say, yep, Daniel Jones is the guy. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't. He choked. This is why he's not. No, this is why he's 0 of 9. He's the Kirk Cousins of the New York Giants. He's not getting in primetime games at all, and it shows. But it's not really his fault because management didn't really do anything to help him with wide receivers. I mean, they passed on Michael Parsons. They passed on Chase Young. They passed on Devontae Smith. I mean, those talents you can't come by once every generation. So we'll bounce back against the Bears. Hopefully we do. But like, comment, subscribe. Till next time, take care of yourself and each other.